Everyone. Today's amud is Daf Yud Ches Amud Aleph. We'll just wrap up I'll just summarize the last couple of lines in Yud Zayin on the base. That will basically, Rav Shimon had this drasha. Rav Shimon learned from this pasuk. We praised Rav Shimon. Rava praised Rav Shimon. Said, "Wow, amazing drasha." He used this long pasuk to say that each one of these different types of karbanos, bikurim, meiser, bechor, to bring a different issa. In other words, the pasuk says you can't eat this thing or outside, eat this carbon, eat the bikurim outside. Lashon is lo yisachol lecho b'sharecha in your shar, meaning don't eat it outside Yerushalayim, right? But we don't. The gemorah, Rav Shimon has a kal v'chomer. We know that all from Maisa, so we can use this for other isurim. Don't eat it before zrika, sadam. You're supposed to sprinkle the blood. Don't eat before you sprinkle the blood. Don't eat outside the kilayim. All these other isurim, right? Each one's got its own isur. Now, the gemorah had a whole bunch of pirchas on that kal v'chomer. How is this a kal v'chomer? Is that a kal v'chomer? Each kal v'chomer, you could say that the other thing is more chomer. So you can't really have the kal v'chomer is not a great kal v'chomer. And then the Gemara brings that Rava said a famous memra or interesting memra, comes up a few times, that if the zar eats an oila before zrika outside the chomer, he gets 5 malchus. Now the last answer the Gemara gave was that he doesn't mean, and the last question the Gemara had on Rav Shimon was, great, you got a kal v'chomer, but we know that ain't onshim min adin, ain't masir min adin. From kal v'chomer, you can't go ahead and give a guy malchus just because you got a nice kal v'chomer. It's not an answer. So the Gemara's answer is that doesn't mean you give him malchus. What Rav Shimon means when he says these things are asa is it's asa. It's also, but it's not malchus. It's not even a warning for malchus. You need the warning, you need the malchus. It's not even a warning for malchus, it's just the issa. It's also to do. It's also before zrika. Is there malchus? No. Is there a warning for malchus? No. But then we had a kasha. The kasha is that Rava said that someone who eats this thing, if you eat zar, that eats the oila before zrika outside the chayim, he gets 5 malchus. He says malchus. So the Gemara answered, it doesn't mean malchus, it means isurim. Even though it uses the lashon malchus, it means there's 5 isurim. Now the Gemara asks, in the last line in the Yitzayin on the base, it says in the Mishnah, and it lists some of these things. It's mashma that they get malchus. Ella. Now we're on top of Yuches Amud Aleph. That's what we're up to. So the Gemara says, Ella kra yiseruhu. The entire pasuk the Rav Shimon bought is extra. The whole pasuk la yisucha lecha b'sharecha. You can't eat, and then he lists bakarcha, soincha, ma'isa yodcha, degancha, v'siroishcha, chom darecha, v'nidvisecha, sumas yadecha. That whole thing is extra. Why? Michti ksiva vesa sham. It says in the pasuk vesa sham, v'chalte lifnei Hashem elokecha b'makoim. Let's read the pasuk. V'vesa shama oyiseichem v'zivcheichem tzmasheseichem v'svushyadchem v'nidrechem v'seichem b'choyzechem b'kochem v'tzonchem. In other words, the pasuk beforehand lists, that's in Yud Beis, Devarim Yud Beis, pasuk Vav, and the next pasuk is Yud Beis, Yud Zayin. It's like a couple of psukim later. It says, and he could just say, why does it have to list everything over again? The previous pasuk is v'chal tefnei Hashem l'kara. It says you should eat all these things. Lists everything. So lichta v'rachmana leisucha loichlam. It should just say, the Torah should say, lichta v'rachmana. Rachmana means the Torah. Lichta v'rachmana leisucha loichlam. Don't eat them. Mehad mefarsh b'rachmana lamali. Why does the Torah go ahead and list them all again? This whole long pasuk. We know that the Torah is so makpid on every letter, every word. Just say, lo yisucha loichlam, don't eat them. Why are you listing everything all over again? Just say, lo yisucha loichlam. And we'll know it means whole thing. Why are you listing everything? So the Gemara answers, you know why it's listing everything again? It's to give each individual one, is to attach to each one of these things a specific love. So in other words, it's not a kal v'chayma. There's a specific love for each one. If you'll see, there's this huge taisus that goes from Yudal, Yudayin and Beis all the way to like the end of Yudal. It's a massive mechaikas Rashi taisus how exactly to understand this line in the Gemorah, which is going to go with the Pashtus. But the idea is that you have the pasuk, and it's completely accurate. It's not just that, oh, we can make a drasha from it. We'll take a look in Rashi, some of the issues Rashi deals with. But then let's just carry on a little bit in the Gemara. Gufa. The Gemara now is going to go back to Rava's Memra. Gufa, Amar Rava. Zar, Shachar min ha'olah, lifnei zrika, chutz l'chayma. So he gets 5 malchus. Reb Shimon, like a chamesh. He gets 5 malchus, right? And the Gemara asks, V'lilki nami mishum. He should also get malchus because of the pasuk, V'zar layoichal ki kodesh heim. A zar can't eat anything that's kodesh. Another pasuk about zar. So we have another is of zar that says the zar can't eat anything that's kodesh, not just the oila. So Gemara answers, when do we say v'zar layochal kodesh heim? Hani mili heichad lekohanim chazi. When does a zar have a isati kodesh? That's if the kohen could eat the kodesh. Nami loy chazi. Here, the kahanim themselves also can't eat. Since it's an oila, we're talking about an oila, Rava's talking about oila. Can a kohen eat the oila? No. The kohen can't eat the oila. So if the kohen can't eat the oila, then there's no extra issa for the zar to eat the oila. The zar can't eat, the Torah has issa of the zar layochal ki kodesh heim. That's only if the kohen is allowed to eat it. So that's why that pasuk doesn't apply here. Now the Gemara wants to know why didn't get another malchus. V'lilkil nami, give him malchus b'shum, u'bosa b'soda treifa le'seichlu. It says in the Torah, u'bosa b'soda treifa, meat in the field that's treifa, le'seichlu. You can't eat. So this meat, this zar that's eating outside the chayma, that's also considered bosa b'soda treifa. It's considered bosa treifa. He's not allowed to eat it. Now it seems to be like there's this. The Torah says there's a lav to eat any bosa that you're not supposed to eat. Another lav called bosa b'soda treifa. So says the Gemara, Kiva. What does this bosa mean? Kiva and sheyotza bosa chutz lebichitzazei. Since the meat leaves its borders, nasa. Anytime meat is in a place where it shouldn't be, it's also to eat it. So here also, this zar, he's eating this oila before zrika, he should get malchus because of this pasuk of basa b'soda treifa le'seichlu. The Gemara answers, Hani mili heichad b'fnim chazu. When does this pasuk of basa b'soda treifa le'seichlu? That only applies in a case where inside you can eat. Here you can't eat this meat also inside. So therefore there's no pasuk of don't eat it outside. Okay, I just want to take a look in Rashi. We'll start with really the top Rashi. In fact, look at the last wide line in the top Rashi. Now Rashi is discussing here the first pasuk. He's going back to the original pasuk. So Rashi asks, what does that mean? Rashi's asking a question here. Why is this lav not called the lav shebechlalos? What's the lav shebechlalos? Any lav that applies to us, if Torah says don't eat something, and that can apply to many different things, that's called a general klal. It's like a general lav. You never get malchus for a general lav. You need a specific lav. Don't eat pig, malchus. You can't, if the Torah says don't eat don't eat anything, I don't know, it says, don't be matami yourself. That means too many things. You don't get Makos such a thing, don't be matami yourself, even though we know that means don't eat pig, let's say, right? I'm making up something, it doesn't say that. But that's called the lav shebechol, it's a generalized lav. So this pasuk is lo yisuchel lecho, don't eat. There's too many lavim. You bring here the Rav Shimon's derish like 7 different isurim from this. That's a general lav. How could you get Makos for that? So why? That's the first kasha that's hitting Rashi. Why is this not considered a lav shebechlolos, which you know you don't get Makos for a generalized lav? Says Rashi, v'lav shebechlolos lo yhaveh. Why? Kiven da achila koi, kiven da akula koi, havilav. Akol chad v'chad. Lo yisuchel echol is going on each one of those specific things it mentions. Lo yisuchel echol nedarim. Lo yisuchel echol nedavis. Lo yisuchel echol yadecha. So he's saying that the lav lo yisuchel echol is going on each one specifically. Vehechi domi lav shebechlolos. So what is a lav shebechlolos then? To gain lo yisuchel ki im tzli eish. Going to college yasim megefan ayayin. The mehevi lav banaf bante nafshe. So, if something could be, or I think what I'm saying is anything that could be taken to mean two totally different things. Take a look at the next Rashi. Mehedim mefashim kol chad lamali. Shmamina lichudi lav lekol chad v'chad. So Rashi says, ki'ilu Chazav v'kosov. He's explaining the second pasuk over here. The second pasuk of, sorry, we're still in the same pasuk. Lo yisuchel lecho b'shorecha. Ki'ilu chazav v'kosov v'chol echad lav d'chutz l'chayma. It's like the Torah would say by each one of these things. Don't eat nedarim outside the chayma. Don't eat trumas yodecha outside the chayma. Don't eat oila outside the chayma. The pasuk says don't eat outside the chayma, right? Outside the chayma, but it's ki'ilu chazar v'kosav b'kol echad lav d'chutz l'chayma. It's as if the Torah would say again, lo yisuchel echol this outside the chayma, lo yisuchel echol that outside the chayma. V'keven de'ena inyan loy, and since you don't need it for the chayma drasha, we know chayma from kal v'chayma. V'keven de'ena inyan loy snei in l'davar acher. Now says Rav Shimon, since we don't need it for eating outside the chayma, we know outside the chayma from Maisa, we have a kal v'chayma. But you've got a specific lav, so now it's extra. It's extra. Now skip to the last narrow line in this Rashi. He wraps up and he says, V'loi kechomesh dekama Rava. So then it turns out that when Rava says you get 5 malchus, chamish isuri kama. It doesn't mean you get 5 malchus, it's just isurim. In other words, how he's understanding the drasha of Reb Shimon is, you don't get malchus for these things. They're isurim. Now you can learn that isurim, I guess, from kal v'chayma. It's not a kal v'chayma. It's a specific law for each one. It's not a kal v'chayma. It's like the Torah specifically goes out of its way, and it says don't do this and don't do that and don't do the other thing. You have a specific issue for each one. Now, let's go to the third line of the end of Rashi. Now, Rashi says, "Given shiyotza basa mechutz mechitzasei nasa." Anytime meat leaves the rishus, leaves its mechitza, it's asa. And the pasuk says, "Basa basada treifa." So Rashi says, "Mi basada yisera." Why did it say basada? Basa basada leisechlu. What is that? What's it going to do with the sada? There's an extra word basada there, Rashi says. That's what we're learning from this pasuk. Kasada she'ein bo mechitzas. It means it's like a sada that doesn't have mechitzas. So we see from here the issur of koche kilayim, koche chutz kilayim. You're not allowed to eat anything that's kodesh, oila, outside the chayma, right? But we learn something else from here, Rashi says. Sorry. So there's 2 things we learn from this pasuk. Basa besada. Koche kalim chutz kilayim, eating kodesh outside the Makom Mikdash. So everyone knows, famous, crazy chiddush, that if you shecht an animal, you shecht a cow, slaughter a cow and there's a uber in the cow, there's a baby in the cow. What's it called? A fetus in the cow, right? So that cow is kosher. You don't have to shecht it. Cow gets born, he's running around, you can eat it basically. It doesn't need shechita. Shoot it and eat it, right? You don't need to shecht it. It's called ben pekua. You can shecht. It doesn't need shechita. It's already been shechted because it was part of that cow that was shechted. There's even minachai, still alive, right? But you can what's it called? I think there's even minachai. I'm guessing. I don't know. But it doesn't need shechita. The point is it's shechted. What happens? This uber before it gets shechted sticks its arm out of the mother's rechem. Does that arm need shechita now? So the Gemara says we learn from this pasuk that chutz mechitzasai, anything that came out of the mechitza. The Gemara learns from this pasuk that it's called a ben pekua. This ben pekua, this cow sticks its arm out. That needs shechita now. So you can't eat that leg without shechita. That's what we learn from this pasuk. Now l'chayra, the question is Rashi doesn't address it, but Rashi asked before. That's a classic lav shebechlalis. This you have one lav that's telling me two dinim. How can you get malchus for it? One din is ben pekua that sticks its arm out. You need shechita. And the other thing we learn from this pasuk is if you can't eat kachim outside the Beis Hamikdash. It's two totally separate lavim. L'chayra they have no connection. So that's the lav shebechlalis. And lav shebechlalis you don't get malchus for lav shebechlalis. So some achronim want to say that it's not a lav shebechlalis because it simply means that they're both issa chutz. It's both achila chutz. So even though they look like totally different. So one's about eating kochim outside the Beis Hamikdash, and one's talking about eating a cow that sticks its hand out. But they're both isum of eating and something that's not in its place or something went out. Chutz. So this arm is also considered chutz. So it's not called. It's not considered a lav shebechlalis. You have to say something along those lines. The next interesting issue, the Gemorah Menocha says that a kohen that eats a murim, right? A kohen eats a murim, he gets malchus because of a zar. He's considered a zar. That's the Gemorah's lashon. He's a zar. The murim is stuff that they're supposed to be makrovit, right? Don't get into the internal organs, right? It's just in makrovit. If a kohen eats it, he's like it. Why is he like her? Because he's a zar. Zar means you're a stranger. So what they want to explain is that why is he like as a zar? Zar, he's a kohen. We think no, zar means a Yisrael. So Asamech says zar just means you're not relevant to this. Zar means a stranger. It's not like that someone else could eat it. No one could eat it. He's a stranger, so even a kohen can be a zar. Even a kohen can be a zar if he's eating these imurim. He's considered a zar. So the question, so the Gemara said that why am I bringing this up? Because the Gemara says that this Yisrael who eats the oila outside the outside the chayma, he gets malchus, he's a zar. And the Gemara said he doesn't get malchus because he's a zar because there's no Yisrael that could eat, because there's no kohen that could eat it, right? When's he considered a zar? You're only a zar. You're only a malchus for zar. That's only relevant if a kohen could eat it. But here, a kohen can't eat it, so you don't get malchus for zar. No one can eat it, so there's no specific issa for zar. But then how do you? Why would the kohen get malchus for zar for a murim if no one can eat the murim? In other words, in our Gemorah, it's quite clear that there's only. It looks like in our Gemorah there's only zar when a kohen can eat it. If no one can eat it, you're not considered a zar, right? You hear the kasha? Our Gemorah said, the Gemorah says, why isn't this guy? Rabba's memra was, if a zar eats an oila outside the chayme, he gets 5 malchus. The Gemorah says he should get malchus also because of zar. He's a zar. He's eating what's it called? Zar lo yochal ki koydeshem.
Outside of the...
Yeah. Why does he get? So the Gemara answers, you don't get malchus for zar. Why? Because you only get malchus for zar when a kohen could eat it. Here, a kohen can't eat it. Why? Because we're talking about lifnei zrika. So Kohen can't eat. It's oila. Oila you
it
can't
really
eat.
doesn't matter
So there's
where
no zar by oila because no one can eat oila. So why is a Kohen considered zar and menachas by Amurim? But no one can eat it. You know, because there's always a zar.
Right, because that's a question.
That's the question.
It doesn't matter.
The Gemara Menachos says that a Kohen who eats a Murim, he's like because of zar. But no one can eat the Murim. Why is he a zar? A zar, which our Gemara says, you're only considered a zar if someone can eat it. Just you can't. You're a zar. You're a foreigner. Now, there's an inside group. You're outside. You're zar. You're not in the group. That's how the Gemara here understands zar.
You go and you rob a store. In your getaway, you run over a guy.
Yeah.
Right? They couldn't care less at that point that you killed that you robbed the store. You killed the guy instead. Minor Kleinigkeit.
They throw everything at you.
So, in some cases, they'll throw everything at you. In some cases, they'll say they'll make you a plea deal. Say if you admit to doing X, we'll drop the lesser charges, or we'll make the charge.
But I think it's more than that. I think the whole idea of zar is that hey, the Torah says when you're a foreigner, it's not for you. Then someone else is supposed to eat this. That's the mashmais. You don't eat it. It's kodesh. Just leave it for someone else. That's how you understand our Gemara. What is this? Is zar le'yochel means you're a zar. Leave it for the kahanim. That's the issa. Don't touch it. Save it. Save it for the good guys. You're not in the winning team here. Don't touch, right? But you see, that's not true because the kain himself is considered a zar. Even no one can eat it. I guess because legabi the mizbeach, you have to say like legabi the mizbeach eats a murim. So he's a zar legabi the mizbeach maybe. You can't eat it. You're a zar because the mizbeach has to eat it. I don't know, Rabbi, I have a wonderful day. I don't know. We'll wrap this up. Shkoyach.